Hello guys, Rick here. As promised, today I will show you how I build my F1 cockpit, so you can build one for yourself if you like. I will include all the measurement and the plan that I used for my build. But before we start, I suggest that you watch all the video and you don't skip any part because I've made some modification on the process, and if you skip some parts, you might miss some important information and build the wrong parts or make mistake on your build. There might be some part of the video which are not clear to you because I needed to make fit a lot of recording time in a 30-minute video. So if you feel like you misunderstand something, just post your question in the comment section below and I will answer that as soon as possible. So if we start by the list of the material that you will need, this is it. You might need to pause because it's a good list, but it covered pretty much anything you will need to build that cockpit. This is the base or the strongest part of the cockpit where you will build your seat in. It's made from 3/4-inch plywood, and you can take it from 8 feet by 4 feet plywood sheet. And this is the layout that I've made on the plywood sheet, so I have the less waste as possible. And this is the second part of the cockpit, which is the nose or the tunnel. This is made from 3/8-inch plywood, and it needs to be bent. As you can see in the next picture, this is the layout I've made in the 8 feet by 4 feet sheet of plywood, so I have again less wasted material as possible. And you can see in the layout that this is the right cut that you will need to do. And you can see in the picture, those parts are not the one that are on the cockpit anymore. So you need to follow the layout in the picture before. So you don't have to cut everything afterward like I did. In the next picture, you can see that I've started assembling the rear section of the cockpit. I used a piece of 2x2, so it's stronger than just screws in the plywood. It makes solid 90 degrees angle, and it takes your screw away from the corners, so if you need to work on the corners later, you won't hit your screws. Here, the way I did to make the bend in the plywood is that I previously put the piece in the bathtub for about an hour each, so it's soaking wet. And after that, I just screw the plywood in the 2x6 that I've previously cut with the right shape. It's up to you to make the curve you want in your frame. And to assemble the two sections together, I use temporary piece of 2x4 so it's strong enough to adjust everything before installing the final steel angle, which are way smaller and take less room in the cockpit. The joint between the two sections need to be strong so it doesn't break under your weight. And for the lower part, I also soak it in water before installing it, but I just cut a 22 inches wide piece by 4 feet, obviously, and I screw it before cutting, so this way you're sure the cut is straight and match the curve of your body. I put the seat on the side to install the 2x4 that I used to make the seat, since it was easier to make them hold standing, and it was easier to screw both sides on the same time. And after your seat is complete, you can now install or remove the 2x4 that I used for making the union between the two sections, and install the steel bar, which are thinner than the 2x4. As you can see, it takes way less room in the cockpit than a 2x4. This is the steering column that I've invented to modify the Thrustmaster wheelbase and to reach the steering at the driver position. This part has already been covered in the previous video, so if you click on the link on the top right corner, you will find a video where everything is explained very clearly about how I did it and what material I've used. This is my new cockpit side by side with my old one, the first one that I've built. One important suggestion that I can make if you build one is even if you have a small set of pedals like the P300 RS original pedal set, to build your body wider than the pedal set. So if you upgrade for the T3PA as example, you will have enough room and you won't have to rebuild your cockpit entirely. In the next image, you will see that the steering column is sticking out pretty far in the face of the driver, and it's because I needed to place the wheelbase at the right position before cutting the pipe so it doesn't end up too short and I have to replace the entire piece. The next image are some shots of the tunnel before I've installed the inside floor. As you can see, we can observe the framing and the support of the pedals. The next image are the plans. This is the side view. I made a legend where the blue numbers are for the adjustment of the wheel and the seat. The black numbers are for the dimension of the cockpit itself, and the red numbers are the measurement for the pedal set. Obviously, those numbers are for my size. I am 5'10". For you, it might be more or less. But I left 8 inches of free space behind the seat, so I doubt that it will be too short for you unless you are 7 feet tall. While the pedal was removed, I took the opportunity and cut the angle in the body like I told you I was about to do. And as you can see, I put my boots. I had to cut those notch here because my boots were rubbing on the frame, and I can obviously not remove the frame because it's holding the thing together. Even if I mentioned that I wanted to wait for the spring before cutting the side of my seats, since I have to redecorate my playroom because Ricardo switched teams. I had at the moment the Red Bull blue on the wall, but now I will have to repaint everything with the Renault colors. So before repainting everything, I say why not cutting, since I'm taking everything out of the room anyway. So if you run the same problem, which is not a problem, just change my mind. But if you install a smaller set of pedal than you expected to install at the beginning, and you want to shrink your seat the same way I do, or I did, you will know how to do it, or at least you will know how I did it. It will give you some clue of what to expect, or if you build it exactly like mine, you will know how to cut and where to cut. Right here you can see that it's the lower section of my seat. It's about 3 inches. So before going any further, you need to know that the measurement in the plan has been modified to match the look of the cockpit at the end of the video, so you won't have to do the cut that I'm doing at the moment. So I will show you, I will show you later. I already marked the top here, but the line, the cut will go like that. I will go from the lower section of my seat and I will take out 3 inches. I will modify the line a bit because I want the slope or the curve to go more further in the front. So I go a little thinner here to have a curve until here. So I will start from 3 inches, I will follow a bit of the curve here, go about 2 inches here, and I will cut the frame about here. So since the frame is the piece that holding the curve of the panel, I cannot remove that piece obviously. So I will cut it and I will install another piece flat here. the bottom of the pedal is sticking 2 inches from the plate or from this piece. So I will cut a 2x4 for this section at 2 inches, so the floor doesn't hit the pedal or the pedal doesn't hit the floor. And starting from here, I will go back to the 3.5 inch of a 2x4, which is not 2x4, stupid, but anyway. And this piece will, the lower part of the piece will hold the lower floor or the floor under the seat. And the top of the piece, I don't know if you can see it here, it will hold the inside floor. Because if you remember in the previous video, I had no floor inside. You were, when I show you the tunnel of the seat, you were able to see the framing and stuff like that. And I will add a floor, so it will be flat and there will be no gap or nothing. So this piece will have 2 functions. I will install one on each side, obviously, right and left. And I will completely remove it and I will cut the side panel on both sides, but let me show you. So if you look here, you will see straight away that there's a gap here, and my line, my 3 inches here, is not lining up with that line, which is also 3 inches. And the reason is that I don't have a floor underneath this section, but here I obviously have the floor with that curve. And this gap is for the thickness of the plywood that I'm using for the floor, which is a 3/8 of inch. It's the same side of plywood as this one. And when the floor will be installed, it will be flush, but here will be flush, so it will be even. Okay, so the way I did, I make some lines starting from there. So starting from here, I will go only 1/8 of inch at a time, every 2 inches. So that's the line at every 2 inches. So instead of the finishing here, the line will, the curve will finish around here. As you can see, I got one panel or one section of that. I kept all my measurement so I can cut the same on the other side. Now I have this section to cut, the back section, and after that I will flip it over and cut the other side. Hey guys, as you can see, the other side is marked and ready to cut. There we go guys, the measures are done. This is the piece that I will install on the bottom, on the right side. And I have some shim. You will see what I will do with it later, but let's just put the piece there so you can see. So as you can see, it's flush on the bottom, so it will hold the lower floor or the lower section of the floor, and it's also do a solid stand for the pedal set. I will have obviously one on both sides, and here it get in contact with the hand of the seat. I let 3/8 of inch so I can install this thickness of plywood. I had something, it's actually the same thickness as this. There's one installed. As you can see, it need to be adjusted there. It's not a big deal. I will just back up this 2x4. But now it's time to make the one on the left side. Now the piece is cut. I got the handle that will sit on the hand of the seat. Got a curve that I will put the inside floor on. And this is the cut where the bottom or the lower section of the floor will sit. The way I did to cut that,
I didn't bother to measure everything. I just put the piece and put my pencil and trace the side of the body, so I'm sure it's the right cut. But now I'm ready to screw this at its place. It won't go anywhere. So now it's time to try the floor, but let's do the test. It's supposed to fit, but I got about 1/4 inch of clearance to the pedals. Let's see when I push. It's fine. It's also fine there. So it's a perfect height for my pedal. I don't waste any space. There we go, guys. As you can see, it's not completely flat because my bat is too small, but I switch it every 15 minutes, so both corner, every part of that piece is soaking wet. So now I will just dry it out with a towel and remove the extra water so I don't drip everywhere in the house, and I will go and install it on the cockpit. Before installing the floor, I need to put some backing here so I have something to screw the floor on it. The rest is fine, just this area need to be stronger. It's so wet, it lost all the curve from the previous setup. Let's see now. Should be fine. So now we can screw all the way. Will pull a lot. This section will pull a lot when we will bend this section, so don't be shy to put enough screws in there. As you can see, it's bending pretty well because it's very wet. I won't have any trouble screwing that, but before I need to mark my post. I already have some screws, but if you don't have screws or if you can't see them, you need to mark your post so you know where to screw. I got one post here, and one post here. After that section here, I'm fine because it's flat all the way. Set this place so I can put one in the post right there. put that in water first, you will break the part. That's for sure. And it's also important to bend it in the right way of the grain. This strip, as you saw earlier in the material list or the schemas of how I cut the pieces, it's on the 4 feet way by 8 feet. So the wood grain is on this way. Nothing there.
As you can see, I built this part of the floor from 2 pieces of 3/8 inch plywood because I didn't have a piece big enough to make that floor in one piece. It's always the best to make it only in one piece so you don't have a joint in the middle like you can see. Because of that, I needed to reinforce the piece with another 3/8 piece of plywood underneath it. So it make a big piece. It's heavy for nothing. It's harder to bend. So if you have enough plywood, it's the best to make it from one piece only. I'm sure you all saw that the front of the cockpit is holding by a can of paint, and the reason is that I'm still don't know which way I will go about that, but big chance that I will install wheels underneath the entire cockpit, probably 3 wheels, 2 behind and 1 in the front, so it will be easier to move around in the room.
So this is the final result before the paint. Obviously I won't paint in here. I will wait until spring arrived and I will paint it outside. I will also add the side pods just before I paint. And since I will make them from fiberglass, It's very messy and it's also really dangerous to breathe it, the dust off of the glass, so I will do it outside in the same time or just before I will paint it. I still have a lot of work to do for the aesthetic part, but now it's functional, so I can race. It's solid, and the rough part is done. You've seen the inside floor that I installed. So it rises my leg pretty much at the same position as a real F1 driver, and it's actually very comfortable. As soon as you have found the right position for your seat, which is very easy to achieve, moving 1 2x4 at a time, the way I did it. That's the reason why there's also a lot of hole on the side, because it was obviously a try and error. I started by screwing all the 2x4 in the seat the best way I think, and after that I jumped in the seat and I was unscrewing one 2x4 at a time and placing it at the right position until I achieve a very comfortable position actually. You also notice that my headrest is also a 2x4. And what I use as a cushion is, you know, the noodles that children using in a pool. I cut the right length of a piece of noodle and I slice this into, so I have half a moon of a noodle, and I wrap it in some cloth that I had left here from a previous gaming seat. So it make a very comfortable headrest, and since there is 4 screws on this 2x4, I can remove the 2 on top and adjust the top of the headrest, or the 2 on the bottom and adjust the bottom, but it's a right position. I nailed it perfectly in the first time, so this is how I made the headrest. Oh, and by the way, this is a PC case that I've made from a whole PC. It's a restoration, so if you want to know how to make this F1 Crest or Empire build a PC restoration, I have a video in the top right corner where you can click and know more about that. But yes, this is complete, guys. I'm pretty happy with the final result. I will jump in the seat in a minute, but before that, I have a quick release on the steering wheel. I also have a video about that on the top right corner if you want to know how to install it on the F1 Thrustmaster wheel. If you like the LED strip that I've just installed in my room, I have a video on how to install it, well, and where to buy it. So on this, I think we covered pretty much all about the build. If you have any question, please post it in the comment section below and I will answer to all of your questions as soon as possible.
The view you are seeing at the moment is from my camera on my forehead. So it's actually about 4 inches higher than my vision at me. To give you a perspective, my nose is about the same height as the top of the wheel. So it's not as high as what you're watching at the moment. Also, since I needed to let some lights in the room so you can see the steering wheel and the cockpit while I was driving, I needed to let one light open, turned on. A reason why I was missing all my braking points and most of my racing lines and corner, because yeah, on a projector, you obviously need to be dark, so I was not seeing the track very well. But yeah, it's the reason why I was driving so badly, because it's too clear, too bright in the room, and I can't see very clearly what I'm doing. The reason you're not hearing the sound of the game is because my audio system is still not connected, so I was driving with my headset, so it's the reason why you're not hearing the sound of the game and the engine and stuff like that. You probably noticed that my steering wheel is crooked when I'm driving straight line. It's a 5-minute fix on any Trustmaster wheel. So if your steering is crooked, you don't need to return it to the company. Just click on the link on the top right corner and I will show you how to fix it on PC or on your console.
So this is it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you decide to build one like that and you have any question or you're not sure about something, don't be shy and ask your question in the comment section below, and I will answer to that as soon as possible. So on this, I wish everybody a great 2019 year. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video if you liked it, and obviously if you didn't, dislike, but I appreciate a like. And see you later, guys. Goodbye.